end. It was late, but it was a win nonetheless for Manchester United. 4-3 it finished. So just taking a look at the Premier League table after that game. And a look, a 7th spot for Manchester United right now. A point behind West Ham in 6th, and just a few points ahead of Newcastle behind them in 8th. Julian Laron was watching that game for us. We welcome him in now. Luis Garcia still with us, but let's go to Jules. Jules, what a crazy ending to that game.
Yeah, crazy. Even with players coming back, Casemiro, of course, Lisandro Martinez, Varane, all of that, United still didn't have the control that they should have had towards the end of the game. Shaka just said, I heard him saying about why you're leading and you still concede that third goal that they did, which is really beyond belief. They would be very happy with the win, of course, and very happy by the fact that Mainoo scored, of course, probably the best thing of the season so far, that Marcus Rashford, after all the controversy and all the negativity, also scores another goal for Holland. So there are a lot of positives, but also a lot of negatives, which shows that they don't have much margin this season.
Shaka.
Yeah, I thought Jules summed it up perfectly there. A lot of positives to take from this game. But at the same time, while you're happy with 3 points, I thought Manchester United had control of this game, particularly in the first half. You're 2 up, you're cruising away to Wolves. You just do not throw that kind of a lead away. Okay, controversial penalty, but you get yourself back in it with the McTominay goal. Just have some control about the game. And this, for me, is the most surprising thing about Manchester United. At no point against any opponent do they seem to ever be in full control and able to manage the tempo of a game, manage what the opponents do. It always seems to be that the opposition can find a way through, can find a way back into this game. And that, for me, is how the second half went. It just became frantic in a game that Wolves were chasing. So they're happy for it to be frantic. Manchester United had no control of it whatsoever, and all of a sudden there's a game to this. But the biggest positives for Manchester United, you started with and you finished. Marcus Rashford, with everything that's been swirling around, all the criticism he's come in for, and in my opinion, rightly so. Erik Ten Hag didn't want to throw him under the bus any further, and you saw that in his pre-game press conferences. Marcus Rashford repaid that. He's not been scoring many. He doesn't need anybody to remind him. And all of a sudden, he finds a finish of absolute confidence, which, if you're a Manchester United fan, you can only hope he's able to build on. But then you finish with what certainly has been the highlight of the season so far. Young Mainoo coming into this Manchester United starting 11, playing alongside the Casemiro in midfield. And you've just seen a player grow in stature and grow in confidence, almost in 2 weeks. Got his first goal for Manchester United, I think it was last week against Newport. And the goal today was just something. It really was special. And for all the hair pulling you do with Manchester United, Mainoo has come in and absolutely shown almost that vintage feel of what you expect a Manchester United player to be.
How special was it, LA?
Well, the goal in itself, not only is it the execution of the goal, the creative aspect of the goal in which he puts the ball between the legs of the defender, but then once you do that, and I'll just give you the perception or the perspective of a player, you do that, you kind of like yourself a little bit because you're like, oh, hello. But then you got to go and finish the play. And I think that's what he then shows us a different level of maturity in which, yeah, he puts it between the legs of the defender, but then there is something else to be done. And it's a little dip of the shoulder. Now cut to the inside. There is pressure coming. And to then have the presence of mind, I'm going to bend it around the incoming pressure. I'm going to find that far post in a moment in which he felt like the roof was caving in. It felt like, here we go again, we're blowing yet another match, and he shows individual maturity. To the point that Shaka was making about the game becoming frantic, Manchester United as a team doesn't have maturity. Individually, Mainoo showed maturity today in a moment of pressure, in a moment in which Everything seems to be going against you. The momentum is gone. Maybe now Wolves go on the attack. Maybe they get the winner. How did we let this get away? In a very tight space, with pressure on him, with defenders coming towards him, smooth, gliding past people, then cutting to the inside, finding the far post, game winner. He's at a different level in terms of his maturity than the whole group of Manchester United.
And continuing that conversation as well, Jules, Erik ten Hag was asked before the game, is this your strongest team? And he said, I think so.
Yeah, and I think to be fair to him, whether we like him or not, like the season or United or not, he's been saying for a while now, wait until I get all the key players back from injuries, because I think the idea from the beginning was to, at some point, play Kobe with Casemiro to have this great young player, and United have been saying for a while that they have this little prodigy in midfield with one of the best in his positions for the last 10 years or 15 years, really. So this was always been the idea, like it was the idea to have Lisandro Martinez and Varane playing together as a partnership defensively, and not all the different centre-backs partnership that we've seen this season. So on that level, he's been saying from the beginning, but what tonight showed, of course, it's a good win with potentially your strongest team. If you think that Garnacho on the right is the strongest option that you have there. But as we've been explaining and as we saw, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of controlling game, in terms of a lot of things, not exposing yourself too much. All of that, they're still not there yet. But at least it's a good thing if everybody stays fit and they can almost field this team from now until the end of the season, and then we will see where they are.
Good, you have a good result and a good performance followed by a result and performance that you just don't recognize. And so it's difficult to say right now, until we see this Manchester United team put together something like a string of performances and results. I'm not sure which way this dressing room is going. I do sympathize with Erik ten Hag, because I think so many of these players, and I think it's been highlighted this week, and again around the discussions around Marcus Rashford, so many of those players just haven't been just delivering on just what our basic expectations from professional footballers. And that has to be frustrating when you have a dressing room like the one he now has, where players are very highly paid, and it almost gets more difficult to have any kind of control or discipline within that dressing room. And then you see the performances that come more times than not on weekends. We take given the week that they had, again, the result against Newport, potential bananas can make easy work of that. And then building on that, this performance, this result, you take it as a step in the right direction. I'm not prepared to say that they've turned any kind of corner, not just yet.
Erik ten Hag also did say...
He didn't show a whole lot of commitment there,
I'm not sure where we are with Manchester.
Okay. All right, I noticed.
And I want to revisit the Marcus Rashford situation, because we saw what the conclusion to this situation has been. Erik ten Hag said before the game, I didn't select him Sunday. He took responsibility. Case closed. He put him back in. Was it right to put him back in tonight from the start?
He scored a goal, right, Kay? And this is about results. And you put him out there and you hope that he responds for you. You hope that if there's an opportunity that he's going to take it. You hope that he's active, that he's going to create chances, that he's going to run at defenders. And for the most part, he did that tonight. And so, was it right? I suppose in looking at the result, of course it was. And the truth of the matter is that when you line up Manchester United and you think about what their options are in the attack, Marcus Rashford is among their best options in the attack. And so if he's right, and all the situation seems to be okay, and case closed, and we've turned the page, and all those things, then yes, he should be on the field. The problem with Marcus Rashford has been that he has been given opportunity time and time again, because, again, you look around and you say, well, who are the best players here? Who are our best options in the attack? Marcus Rashford is one of them, and he hasn't been producing. And then if you add that to the fact that he is having a nightlife, if you will, that goes outside the boundaries of what you should be as a professional, then all the more attention goes to the fact that you haven't been scoring. Let me just tell you, if Marcus Rashford had scored 20 goals so far this season in the Premier League, and he was out late, and somebody took a picture of him, and then he called in sick, this would not have been nearly as big a deal for Manchester United as it became. This is about productivity on the field, and then you add fuel to the fire by not behaving professionally. Now he gets an opportunity to make good on it, to at the very least improve his situation, to turn the corner, if you will, to use Shaka's term. This seems like a moment in which perhaps, much like Ten Hag, perhaps he's kind of turning the corner because it was a big moment for him, all attention on him. He scores a big goal. We move on.
I like how Ten Hag has handled this. He's kept it in-house. We don't know what discussions he had, and he says that Marcus Rashford has accepted responsibility. We're not quite sure what that looks like, which is totally fine. That's an in-house conversation to have. Erik ten Hag had every reason to throw Marcus Rashford under the bus here. Listen, I'll only speak for myself. Certainly as a player, there are times that you aren't really in a condition to train.
Okay, what? I'm sorry, what? Spell that out for us, Shaq.
No, just take that as loosely as you like. But the one unwritten rule, as a professional, is you show up.
Yep.
You show up for your teammates. Whatever that looks like, you show up. So Marcus Rashford not showing up, in my experience, goes against the grain totally. Erik ten Hag could have thrown him under the bus, didn't, in his words, kept it at house, and now has been rewarded for it.
He didn't keep Marcus Rashford in house, though, did he?
No. Well, people are trying to do that.
That might have solved all the problems.